Coming back to this idea, a happy mother, a happy child. In reality, a father is incredibly important in a child's life. And this is also a well-known fact. Many people understand this, and many try to replace the father or bring some sort of male role model into a child's life if the father is absent. I shared different studies with you. I reread some of the research that is still ongoing today. For example, the Harvard studies on the father's role in a child's life have been going on for 75 years, and they're still continuing. And during this time, it has been established with complete certainty that if a father participates in a child's life, not just exists nearby like a couch walrus, but truly participates, even if he doesn't live with the child, but picks them up a few times a week, spends time actively, conversations, supportive words, tuning into what's happening in the child's life, emotional backing, then these children have much higher self-esteem, they develop a better character, and they are 80% less likely to get into trouble, end up in jail, and things like that. If the father is involved, speaks with the child, not controlling, not poking at them all the time, but communicating warmly, kindly, soul to soul, then children are 75% less likely to become alcoholics or drug addicts, and overall they find their life path much more easily. There's also a statistic. When the father is involved in the child's life, such children are twice as likely to enter higher education compared to those whose fathers do not participate in raising them, and there are countless studies like this. Society has already made it absolutely clear to itself. A father's role is incredibly important. So the question is, a happy mother, a happy child, and the father, as the creative aspect, the projection of spirit, what exactly does the father instill in a child? And what exactly does the mother instill? What do they each influence? And there's also research on the father's specific behavior. If a father plays with his child between ages 1 and 3, shows things, makes them laugh, then later in life, both boys and girls overcome difficulties more easily. Meaning, if the dad jokes around, makes the child laugh, plays with them even 15 to 30 minutes a day, then, according to research, that child, later in life, even after 30, gets back on their feet after failures much faster than when the father simply sits watching TV next to the child and doesn't participate. This has all been measured precisely. We've already told ourselves everything. What's your perspective on how this works? What else is operating behind the scenes that we don't see, but still affects us?
I'll say this right away. The research is one-sided because...
Well, it was a large conglomerate.
A large set of one-sided research. And I'll say this, these observations could only appear in that experiment if the mother's potential had worked.
The mother's potential had worked?
Remember I said, I'll say a phrase now that very few people pay as much attention to as they should. In this world, for women, for men, and for children, everything is built on sexual feminine energy. 100 out of 100. That's it. Forget everything else. And a father may dance with a tambourine, joke around, play, talk, but the child will get zero effect if the mother is closed. The receptors simply won't work. The child will let everything pass by. So the foundation is the mother, and only relative to the mother, the matrix, the motherboard, can information be encoded. That's why we say that when the mother is in love, because for some reason people perceive sexuality one-dimensionally, while sexuality, remember I said this, is simply the damn absence of the past.
It's kindness in the heart?
It's the absence of the past, and that's kindness in the heart. And when the past is gone, only then there is kindness in the heart, which radiates through the eyes as love and fills everything around with that love. That's it. And what is sexuality? It's the gateway for multiple new programs to come in. Programs that then flow to the children and to the man. When a woman slides into asceticism, and I've seen that after 40, most women stop treating themselves as women and they have sex rarer than New Year's. That's already a very serious blockage, both for her and, God willing, for any children she may ever have, because they all go into menopause, meaning the connection is blocked, and they become toxic. The reason is very simple. They live by dogmas and postulates. They live by norms and rules. They live by fears and the illusion of stability. They live through adapting, enduring, and trying to justify themselves. They live through conservatism and self-destruction. Unfortunately, there are a lot of them. Why? Because society, and this is a whole separate topic, has no interest in developing the mother, because the mother makes children into gods, even if they were born out of the past. Yes, she creates favorable conditions so that the father can give a lot to the child, but it's the mother who unlocks the child's inner strength, inner core, the drive to learn and take interest. That's why those studies are misleading, lies and complete lies, because they didn't mention the foundation. The mother was sufficient.
Well, listen,
and that's why it happened that way.
Let's make a fair assumption that if the dad is fun, cheerful, active, then his wife is probably also cool, and he spends time with the child because he simply enjoys it.
Look, even these studies included those children with those fathers only because their mothers had the right qualities. And I can tell you...
Well, yes.
It's like this. Guys, look at the mothers. Look at the mothers. Don't look at the fathers. Damn it, look at the mothers. Extraordinary mothers give birth to extraordinary children. Why? A father may contribute 5 cents, but those 5 cents will turn into billions, because the mother created the power, the maternal foundation. She creates fertile ground. The father can throw whatever he wants in there, and everything will blossom. But when the soil is concrete, no matter what the father throws in, no matter how much he jokes around, nothing will grow, because the mother is shut down, stuck in fear, blame, and manipulation. So on one hand, these are wonderful, inspiring results, but we must be ready to look at the mother, at the woman, although the woman is the inner state of the man, and your man is the external expression of your inner state, and children are a combination of the feminine and the masculine, where the masculine is opportunity and the feminine is potential. Potential is inside, opportunity is outside. And when the mother has high potential, even a small opportunity turns into a huge result.
Hooray! So now everyone who was upset that their children are born as grandmas and grandpas now understands that your child's inner potential is the mother and the outer possibilities are the father, meaning we create the conditions for existence.
If you remember, we said that the father is connected to civilizations, to creativity, to new software, to innovation, and to something wildly unknown. And the mother allows all of this to happen. But if the mother's state is, oh, I have a headache, I don't want to, I'm tired, I'll go sleep, what sex, what tenderness, what love? Why should I express love? Why would I lower myself by telling him I love him? He's already my husband, that's it. Goodbye. Is there a stamp in the passport? There is. I'm doing what I'm doing. Nothing. Just inertia. Keeping him nearby so he doesn't go anywhere.
Well, let's maybe give some constructive tools.
I'm saying all this so it's clear. We didn't come here to become richer, healthier, more successful, more accomplished, to write books, create a big business, or build perfect health. We came here to change internally. And these internal changes must correlate with the outside world. Because if I'm so genius sitting in a cave, well, shove that genius of yours up your butt in that cave and horizontally while you're at it. Meaning, it's pointless if we don't give it to society. And society, I want to say this again, surprisingly, is the mother. It is maternal energy, feminine energy. And when I look at some leaders, businessmen, politicians, and I see how they behave, I look at the woman and I understand that's her child. Doesn't matter if it's her man or her kids, it's her child. And he will not jump higher than she allows. Or he will jump, but in a specific direction, like Elon Musk, because his mother was unusual. So he shot upward here and failed there. And each of us is the same. me and my mother, Nicole and her mother. Yes, fathers played a role. To the extent the mothers could be real, inside and outside, that's how beautifully it turned out. And that's why I say that in relationships, sincerity and soulful conversations, kindness and displays of tenderness are incredibly important. When this is present, oh, children become just naturally brilliant. And it happens so effortlessly, because the connection between mother and father creates a very, very healthy, highly intelligent, kind, loving child.
Great. Do you have anything to add to this block? Because in the second block, we'll already move to the age-based program you announced. Maybe you want to say something more about potential and opportunities, and how exactly the father transmits these opportunities, and how the mother transmits potential, and whether she can transmit it later, when the child is already 18 plus, or we can just continue.
Let's speak in general about the energy informational component. All of us here are under pressure and under a very attentive focus, and our task is to declare where we intend to go, and at least with some kind of movement, image, thought.
To jump a little.
Yes, to jump, sit, lie in that direction, crawl, run, fly in that direction. And these are simply the qualities I've always talked about. And depending on the readiness of the past, present, future, parallel realities, and everything else, we are still, let's say, given from the perspective of correlation, whatever is appropriate. Because when certain errors occur, someone is born before their time and begins to deliver some kind of information, everything gets blocked and it all flies away. And only many, many years later, if not hundreds of years, it becomes clear, that's what he meant. And yes, we accept it, because even what you and I are saying and discussing right now will not land for a huge number of people. They will have higher education and computer science knowledge and a whole catalog of deep films or theater plays behind their backs.
And several children.
Yes, and they will look and think, why are these two talking nonsense?
That's exactly what I wanted to get into now.
The reason is very simple.
What is it?
Attachment to beliefs with closed codes, when fragmented thinking takes over, even though they believe they are high-level intellectuals. And how can you determine this? Kindness, love, tenderness, the value of human life, curiosity, and at the same time, a global vision of development. Because I was literally thinking not long ago about how we are manipulated by being pushed into guilt, and we have no right to be in a state of duty, guilt, pity, or dependency on opinions like, what will people say? I'll adapt to whatever they say. This is what governs 99.9% of the developed, civilized world today.
I see. And what really interests me is this feeling of duty toward parents, guilt toward parents. I've met so many people who feel exactly these things toward their parents, that they're not like them, that they can't communicate with them or have no connection.
Look, here.
Or they don't give them as much attention as the parents would like.
Because we need to understand an important moment. There is such a thing as feeling. You eat and you enjoy it, or you eat and you don't. You communicate and you feel good, or you communicate and you feel tense. And you need to look at how much love is in me, how much kindness is in me, how much sincerity is in me, how much curiosity is in me, and how much development is in me. Meaning, when we're walking in a certain direction, we have no right to wait for someone who's learning poorly and say to ourselves, well, I won't learn either because he's still drinking vodka, smoking cigarettes, and doing stupid things. I'll wait for him and won't study. This is the worst scenario of all possible ones. Our task is to move forward, and I want to say that many of our parents, figuratively speaking, smoke, drink alcohol, watch toxic news, fall into fanaticism, religious or whatever other form, or into conservatism, or into the desire for stability. And all this is enormous toxicity. And when they, living in all this, demand fresh air while living in the sewage of their own thoughts, we go there and get smeared in it. And we must either go and study and become a medalist who actually changes the world for the better, or sit there waiting for this hooligan in the form of our mother or father who doesn't want to learn, blames everyone and says, "You must be tolerant with me. Yes, I'm a scoundrel. I'm foolish. I'm infantile. I don't earn money. I don't have strong health. But you take care of me because you should feel ashamed that you're wealthy, successful, smart, and accomplished. So go ahead and take into your life a whole bunch of moms and dads who are in a state of degradation, who refuse to take responsibility and feel guilty about it." This is what I call vampirism. It works in all spheres. Doesn't matter if it's parents, acquaintances, co-workers, or basically anyone. They operate only with 5 principles: duty, guilt, pity, dependency on others' opinions, and the desire to use a person for themselves without giving anything back.
So if we suddenly don't feel love for our parents, then feeling pity or duty toward them is strictly forbidden?
Look, what's the foundation here? They don't want to change. They want to be pitied, tolerated, accepted in their lack of diversity. And I can say that our interaction with you is built on us winning each other's love through novelty, development, and movement into the unknown. Every time we become interesting to one another because something new appears in us. That is true love, not this conservatism like, I love grandma's or grandpa's old Zaporozhets because it's vintage. No. Falling in love is when we carry wisdom, development, curiosity, tenderness, kindness, love, drive, excitement, humor, lightness, and the desire to act through responsibility. For example, we meet a grandmother or a grandfather who genuinely enjoys tending bees, raising chickens, experimenting with roses, growing tomatoes and cucumbers. And when we visit, they greet us with sparkly eyes, treat us to apples, pick flowers from their garden, hand us jars of preserves and say, "Go with God, I'll go water my carrots and pick Colorado beetles off the potatoes." Because they have interest in life, and then we feel excited to visit them, to walk through the garden, pick apples, hug them sincerely, because they have love, meaning the desire to evolve. But when they shut down at 40, enter menopause, nothing moves or stands anywhere anymore, and they demand their children bring them a glass of water on command and listen to whatever nonsense they spill. Of course, this is a challenge for us, pushing us to offer them something, because there's a harsh, painful truth. Saving a drowning person is the work of the drowning person. We'll throw them a lifebuoy, but we cannot change them. We can create all conditions for them to change. They change or they don't. And there are basic things where we have no right to force, persuade, or manipulate. We offer, and the person either agrees or not. But if they don't agree, they're not playing our game.
Okay.
They're not participating in our process.
That's already the topic of separation, meaning if we are separated, then neither we will impose our opinions on our parents, nor will our parents impose theirs on us. But we'll talk about this in more detail in the second block.
Agreed.